You know when you're sitting back on a warm night, you look up at the sky, and you're just completely mesmerized by a fireworks display? That brilliant flash of light, the boom that you feel in your chest, it feels like pure magic. But behind all that magic is some seriously cool science. So let's get right into it.
That's the big question we're going to tackle. We are going to pull back the curtain on this whole thing. We're going to deconstruct that one spectacular moment and figure out exactly what's happening, from the ancient powder that gets it off the ground to the, believe it or not, quantum mechanics that paints the sky.
Okay, so to get how a firework explodes hundreds of feet up in the air, we have to start with its engine. And that engine, for more than 1,000 years, has been gunpowder, or as it's known in the pyrotechnics world, black powder.
You know, the story here starts pretty simply. Over 2,000 years ago in China, people would toss sealed bamboo stalks into a fire, and the air and moisture trapped inside would expand and just bam! It would burst with a loud bang. They thought it scared off evil spirits, but the real game changer came around 800 AD with black powder. That led to a much, much bigger bang. And by about 1200 AD, they had perfected that 3-ingredient recipe we still basically use today.
So what's so clever about this recipe? Well, it perfectly solves the classic fire triangle. Your potassium nitrate is the oxidizer. It's a solid that carries its own oxygen, which is key. It's why gunpowder can burn inside a sealed container with no air. Then you've got charcoal, which is your carbon fuel. And then there's sulfur. That's the secret sauce, really. It acts like kindling, dropping the ignition temperature so the whole reaction can kick off way more easily.
Right? But here's the thing. Just having the right ingredients isn't enough. For that super fast, explosive reaction, everything needs to be incredibly close together. If you mix up some coarse homemade powder, you'll just get a slow, fizzing burn because the molecules are too far apart. But commercial powder, it's ground down into an incredibly fine dust that puts the fuel, the oxidizer, and the kindling into really intimate contact, which gives you that near instantaneous ignition we're looking for.
And this brings us to the final, absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle: confinement. If you just light a pile of gunpowder out in the open, sure, it burns fast, but it's more of a psh than a bang. To get that massive explosion, you have to trap it. By confining the powder, you force all those chemicals and all that intense heat to stay packed together. That creates this runaway chain reaction that builds up immense pressure and turns a quick burn into a seriously powerful explosion.
Okay, so we've got our fuel. We know how to make it go boom. But how do we get that boom way up in the sky and then turn it into a beautiful, sparkling pattern? Well, for that, we need to build the aerial shell.
Let's take a look inside. A modern firework it's a masterpiece of engineering. You've got the outer casing, which is basically a super sturdy sphere made of paper mache. Down at the bottom is the lift charge. That's a bag of black powder that acts like a cannon, launching the whole thing. Inside, you've got these little pellets called stars. That's where the color comes from. And right in the middle, a burst charge, designed to blow the whole thing apart at exactly the right second. And the thing that holds it all together timing-wise? The time fuse.
Now, this time fuse is absolutely critical. It gets lit by the big explosion on the ground that launches the shell, but it's designed to burn really slowly and internally while the shell is flying up. Its whole job is to be a perfect little clock, making sure the shell doesn't burst too soon. It's even built in a special way so no fire can leak out the sides and set things off early.
All right, let's put it all together. Here's the play-by-play. First, an electric match sparks the lift charge down in the mortar tube. Whoosh! That explosion launches the shell skyward and lights the time fuse all in one go. As the shell is soaring up, that time fuse is slowly burning down. Then, when the shell hits its highest point, what they call the apogee, the fuse finally burns all the way through and lights the burst charge in the center. And boom! That charge detonates, shattering the casing and flinging those burning stars outward to create that beautiful display in the sky. So we've covered the launch and the bang. Now for the art. Those incredible colors, those intricate patterns, they are not an accident. They are a precise application of chemistry and physics, all designed to paint the night sky. And this is where things get really wild. Believe it or not, every vibrant color you see in a firework display is all thanks to quantum mechanics. Yet really, it's all happening at a subatomic level, and it's what makes every single color so distinct and so pure. So here's the basic idea. Those little stars inside the shell are packed with different metal salts. When the burst charge heats them up, the electrons in those metal atoms get super energized. They get excited, and they jump up to a higher energy level. But they can't hang out there forever. When they fall back down, they release that extra energy as a little particle of light, a photon, and it has a very specific wavelength which our eyes see as color. So you want blue? You need copper. Want a brilliant red? That's strontium. Green comes from barium, and so on. It's like a painter's palette from the periodic table. And what about those amazing shapes? A smiley face? A heart? That's not magic. That's pure physical artistry. The pattern you see in the sky is a direct map of how the stars were arranged inside the shell. If you line them neatly around the casing, you get a perfect sphere. But for something complex, like a jellyfish, the firework makers will carefully place bigger stars that burn longer at the bottom to make the tentacles, and smaller, faster-burning stars up top to make the dome. It's literally sculpture, with explosives.
So, when you think about it, you're putting everything together. The ancient chemistry of gunpowder, the mechanical precision of the shell and its fuse, and the quantum physics that creates light. You get something truly spectacular.
And just to give you an idea of how big this science can get, the largest aerial firework ever successfully launched was nearly 1.5 meters wide. It weighed about the same as a car. Just think about the science and engineering it took to get that right.
So, the next time you're out there, watching a show light up the night sky, remember what you're really seeing. It isn't just a flash and a bang. It's a perfectly timed, high-speed ballet of physics and chemistry. It's a craft that's been honed for centuries, all to turn science into a fleeting, breathtaking work of art. It makes you wonder, right? What other hidden science is hiding in plain sight all around us?